If you're a coach or service provider who kind of knows you're winging it when it comes to contracts, maybe you've copied someone else's privacy policy, maybe you had ChatGPT spit out some kind of quick service agreement, and you're just hoping that nobody ever asks for a refund or threatens a chargeback, this video is for you. I'm Ashley. If we haven't met, I am a systems and automations expert, and on this channel, I help coaches and service providers use Airtable to make their business feel simple, scalable, and way easier to run, especially when it comes to client results tracking and keeping your backend business organized. So on this special playlist, this is a special episode of Ashley Stays in Her Lane, where I bring in experts outside of my lane to cover the parts of business that I'm not qualified to teach you, but are super, super important. And one of those very important, often unsexy things is your contracts. So I really believe that if you have big goals for your business, your revenue, your launches in 2026, if you want to help a lot of clients, or even you just want a business, you cannot be operating on copy and paste contracts or AI generated contracts. You really need to be protected. So I wanted to make sure that you were learning from the person that I learned from. That is Braden Drake. Braden is a California licensed attorney and tax professional whose tagline is "Your gay best friend, here to help you get your legal and tax shit legit." So I love him. He works primarily with online and creative small business owners through his law firm, Not Your Average Law Firm, where he and his team provide one-on-one services, memberships, group programs, and courses. He's also the creator of the Contract Club that I'm a proud affiliate of, which is basically a giant vault of attorney-drafted contracts that you pay for once and use for life. There is a link below to join that. I believe every single business owner who's watching this should grab this. It's $200 and it is an incredible value. It is every contract you could possibly need. In this conversation, we're going to be talking about why contracts matter, why AI generated contracts and random templates can actually put you at risk, the 3 core contracts every business owner needs in 2026, and when a simple "I agree to the terms" checkbox is enough, and when you might want to actually do a full, bigger contract for some of your services. We also talk about the behind the scenes of the Contract Club, how it works, and why it is such a wild deal compared to buying templates one by one. So if you're ready to actually feel legit and protected the next time a client is unhappy or asks you about your refund policies, or if you just want to make sure that you're protected before you go into your next launch, before you go into your next year, this episode is hopefully going to give you so much clarity. So let's dive in. Awesome. Well, hi, Braden. Thank you so much for being here. I already gave everybody a little spiel about who you are, but why don't you say in your own words who you are and who you help?
Sure. So I work with creative small business owners, wedding professionals, general creatives, so like photographers, web designers, those kind of folks, and then also a lot of online educators, course creators, membership owners, those types of folks. I live in Southern California. I'm a licensed attorney in the state of California, and I'm also a tax professional. So we do law, bookkeeping, and tax all in one
Awesome.
company.
And trademarks, right? I think we're reaching out to you soon to get a trademark going for something.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. The trademarks definitely fall under the legal and tax, and we do a lot of trademarks. Would love to do your trademark.
I was super excited to talk to you about is because I like the Ashley Stays in Her Lane series. I talk to people who like business owners need to know certain things that I am not, qualified to talk about. And something that I
hmm
like to talk about with finding like a law professional is like systems are always like deemed sexy, law, legal, all of that stuff is like not the sexy stuff, but you make it fun for people too. Talk to me about like I think we have a lot of overlap in our kind of like ADHD and neurodivergent business owners. Like, why should we all like care about prioritizing watching a video on YouTube about contracts?
Yeah, it's not the most fun, and I even like to tell people among the legal topics, contracts is one of the more boring ones to talk about because, like, at the end of the day, it's just like legal language on a piece of paper. But at the end of the day, like I just gave a talk at a big wedding conference, and I did a whole slide on how contracts are a lot like pre-marriage counseling. Like, think about how important that is. It's you talking about what your systems and processes are like with your clients, with your membership members, with your course students before they actually sign up to like marry you, to work with you in your program. So it's more of a preventative thing than anything. And I don't think a lot of people think about contracts that way. So let's write them so that they actually fit your business model, what you do, and how you like to work.
Yeah, and I think that just like thinking of contracts as just a one-time thing you set up or you review however often, but it's just that peace of mind to then bring in however many clients you want to bring in. We are all preparing for big launches or we have like big revenue and numbers we want to hit. But if you don't have that like foundational place of like, and I'm legally protected, it's just like a very shaky foundation, especially if you get a client email that's like, I'm mad at you, I want a refund. And you're like, well, do I even have a refund policy? Did I even share a refund policy with them? Like, knowing that you have contracts, have legal stuff in place, trusted by like an actual human who has written them, approved them, helped you edit them, I think is really huge.
Yeah, I also always like to note because we don't think about this, but it also helps so much with just making you look professional and make you look legit. Like if you have an offer that kind of seems too good to be true, someone's like, "Who is this person?" Your contract's going to help. It's going to be like they're a real business owner. I also just recently talked to someone. They were going to hire someone else for like a $1,000 service, and they said they didn't even see me like give me a contract, which felt like kind of sketchy to me. But I went ahead and hired them anyway. So like contracts really do so much for us.
Yeah, it's such a standard of professionalism, and especially people who are starting their businesses for the first time. It is a way that you can not only feel legit yourself, but you also like look and can present yourself as like a business owner who has a contract, who has things for
Right.
them to. I haven't thought about that before, but that makes a ton of sense. That it like gives trust to your clients that you are taking this seriously as well.
Right.
Tell me about, so let's just dive in, and I want to talk about the contract club and what it is and why somebody should buy the contract club instead of just doing AI generated contracts. I think a lot of us are going to, because when you hear the price point of the contract club, you're just like, how am I getting all of these contracts for this much money? Couldn't I just like write it up for free in ChatGPT? Like, tell us about what the contract club is, what's inside of it, and your thoughts on AI generated contracts.
Sure. Okay. A loaded question, but I'll start with explaining the contract club. So the contract club is we call it a membership with no monthly fee. It's kind of confusing, but the reason why is we add new templates every month and we have a support community. But it essentially started as a course on contracts, which I quickly relearned I learned that no one wanted. No one wants a course on contracts. So I rebranded it to a template bank. And now our tagline is all the contracts you need, all in one place. Just pay the cover and you're in for life. And we have, I haven't counted in a while, but I'm pretty positive we have over 100 templates in there at this point. And importantly, we have a like create your own contract section where you can piece your own contract together. But oh, I should go get it. We put all of the templates in like a bound book for the conference we did, and it like clocked out at like 900
Wow. Yeah,
pages.
and I am a member and I'm a proud affiliate of the contract club, and I actually forgot that I was a member of it, and I wonder if that happens to your people often, but like I needed one
Yes.
contract. It's like I can't remember. I would think it was probably like a terms of service thing. And it's like I needed a terms of service. I was going to go buy it on somebody else's template shop and it was like $150, and then for one thing, and then I saw yours. I was like, well, if it's in there, I'll get that. And then I forgot years later I was doing affiliates. So I was like, I wonder if the contract club has like an affiliate agreement in there. And I like typed in affiliate, and it was like anything I possibly needed a contract for, it was inside of the contract club. And so that was a really cool thing. It's any business owner, as you're growing, you're going to add new layers, new hire a delivery assistant, you'll go to a conference. Like there's all of these different things that the contract club has thought of, and there is a contract for that
Hmm.
inside of that. So it's like it really does grow with you. So it truly is like you pay for it once, and then you're in for life, and pretty much any contract you need like that night. There's a lot in there to grow with you.
Yeah, one of the most fun parts is because we take member requests, we've pretty much, and we always prioritize the requests that we think will be most applicable to most of the members, but we pretty much have all of those already. So just recently, by request, we added a mobile ice cream cart contract. We have a mini figurine design contract for people who make like Dungeons and Dragons figurines and like so many more.
I
Um,
can tell the
yeah.
baselines are covered because I get those emails. I'm like, what is going on in the contract club right now? Like, because
Yeah,
every
yeah,
contract that you could possibly think of is already handled. So now it's like, oh yeah, this niche request, let's do let's bring it in. But it's so fun. And when we get
yeah.
you get those notifications of new contracts, it also reminds you as a business owner, like, oh yeah, like what other contracts do I need right now? Like, am I covered? Like just being in a container that is constantly being updated and you get those reminders like helps you remember to maybe go review your policies and just and make up any updates as your business grows too.
Yes, for sure.
Let's talk about, I want to talk about AI because that is something that I know people I like I will say I had a divorce and I wrote a separation agreement via ChatGPT. It was not legal. It was like we're like separating and seeing if it was like more handshake agreement, but I needed some more formal stuff. That's about as deep as I've gotten into AI contract zone. But I know
Mhm.
people use it for everything. So, what are your thoughts on AI generated contracts? Are those legit? Should they avoid them? What are things to look out for when using AI and with any legal stuff?
So many things. So first of all, I have to say, first thing we have, or another thing we have in common, we both went through recent divorces, so super fun. I did not go to AI though, on like my divorce agreement necessarily, but it's good to get like some tips, right? Or to ask it some clarification. So this contract says this, like, what do we think about that? My main issue with AI, there's a few. A, it doesn't know how to write like a lawyer. So that's like a specific thing that we learn how to do. Um, Specifically with like how we have defined terms in contracts, consistency in what we're calling certain things. If it's pulling provisions from multiple different contracts and Frankensteining them together, that's like a lot of how a lot of people create their contracts, then you're going to have inconsistencies. It also can pull provisions that are not applicable in some states. So it depends how you prompt it as well. So that's really important. And then also, I'm just really weary because we already have a few circumstances. Like, to give you one example, I am trying to start a podcast with one of my friends, and we were brainstorming names on ChatGPT, and we quickly found out it was just pulling names from already existing podcasts because I trademark searched all of them. Um, and then I forget what my second thing is I was going to bring up, but we can just go from
Yeah,
there.
that all makes sense. I like your differentiator of like it makes sense. It's like okay, take that legalese, like a contract that you're trying to understand or something like that. Run it through chat and be like, hey, can you make this like help me understand it? But the actual writing of it and like creating of the contract should be done by a human lawyer who understands the nuances, who understands the consistencies and all of those. Because if you do, I just feel I thankfully have never gotten into this situation, but I know business owners who have, where there is a contentious client coming through and they don't like they're
Yeah.
ready to fight and just to be like, well, to know that it was drafted by a human instead of drafted by AI, which we know makes mistakes all the time, like I would just feel so much better to be able to like stand my ground, to be able to be more neutral that like I am covered than having that. So I think that just, especially with the contract club being so affordable, like there's no reason not to cover yourself in that way and cover your bases and get that instead of like doing a bunch of AI generated contracts. So it's like hopefully nobody ever contests, but if they do and like the consistencies are the thing that knock you down, it's like that would be such a like so stressful and like just kicking yourself to be like, why didn't I hire a lawyer? Like I think that's the thing. It's like you it's just it's all preventative. Like hopefully you never have to like use it, but that preventative $200, whatever the price is at the time of the recording, is absolutely worth it just to have that peace of mind.
Yeah, I feel like the other note I wanted to give about AI that circled back to me eventually is that we see like two different issues. One, they'll give you like a one-page contract, which is like usually not nearly enough. Or if it's gonna like pull from somewhere else on the internet, it's gonna give you like a 50-page contract that was taken from like a real estate property lease or like a commercial contract. And then it becomes like way, way too formal for you to use in your small business. So it's finding that sweet spot. I don't really think it can do yet. We also have multiple instances of people using AI to generate legal briefs in court proceedings. This was like big news in the legal community, and it was like making up cases. Yeah, and then the judge found out and they weren't very happy because obviously if you're going to use AI to generate like a brief that you're going to submit to the court, you should be checking all the case citations. So we don't have to worry about that in contracts, but it makes us weary, obviously.
I just used AI. It was like pulling Amazon links. I was like, none of the links you ever give me are broke or at work. And he was like, oh, I was just kind of guessing what the URL would be. I was like, what?
Yeah. And have you ever noticed? Because I haven't really used, I've been somewhat resistant to AI, but I've started using Claude a lot this week for specific things. Like specifically, I found out it's really good at like creating custom code for my website, which is cool and is saving me money on like those like $5 to $10 a month, like monthly kind of things you would. use for like countdown timers and shit. Um, but I'll have it review my sales pages, and it's just really good at validating whatever feelings you want it to validate. Because you can be like, "Isn't my sales page so good?" And it'll be like, "Yes, amazing. No improvements. You're the world's best copywriter."
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I want a lawyer, like, I want the red line, like, I want a lawyer who is like, this is not good enough, this is not strong enough, and like, and yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, I'm pro AI for some things. I mean, there's the general conversation at large, but yeah, writing contracts is not one of them, and it should not be the thing that business owners use it for. Cool. Let's go into, let's say you've never made a contract, or you took somebody's service agreement when you took somebody's terms and service things off of their website and copied and pasted it into your own. Like, what are the three most important contracts like every business owner needs really to get started?
The most important one is going to be, I always call it like your main contract. Typically, this is a client service agreement. If you provide one on one services, it would be a client service agreement. But if you're doing like group coaching programs, courses, memberships, it would be your terms of service for that program. So, whatever it is you're selling, you need to have a contract for that. That's the number one thing. Website privacy policy, honestly, a lot of people just copy those off of other people, like whether we feel good about that, like ethically or not, or whatever, do what you will with that. But privacy policies are very, very standard. We are not typically editing those a lot. So those can be pretty simple. If you wanted to find one of those for free on the internet, you probably could. And then contractor agreements is kind of our third bucket. If you're ever hiring someone and they're not providing you a contract, you need to give them one. And then we kind of have this like catch all of any time you do like a joint venture. Do you want a podcast guest release? Do you want testimonial release agreements? There's lots and lots of other ones as
Yeah,
well.
that's actually something that we added from the contract club too. Was we were getting we were updating our sales page with testimonials, and I was like, I think we're in a spot where like I want agreements for all of this, and so we were literally able to go into the
Hmm.
contract club, write the testimonial agreement, and like all those things that you kind of are more like handshake agreement on when it comes to affiliate partners, podcast guests, like testimonials, like having those kind of contracts makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the testimonial release can be really helpful, especially helpful if you have a program that helps people make money or save money, because the FTC, at least under our last administration, was cracking down a lot on, what did they call them? I keep wanting to say income guarantees. I forget if that's like the buzzword. Income claims. Thank you. When you're like promising to like help people make X amount of more money. So putting in your testimonial release that like they're giving you an accurate representation of their numbers. And then also you want to have disclaimers as well, saying like this is not guaranteed. And then also share results from, kind of a range of your students. We're kind of going
Cool.
past contracts now,
This
but
is
I'm
a
giving people
this
bonus
is a question
information.
that I know that I have had and my clients have as well, which is, when is a I don't even know what you'd call it, like terms and conditions checkbox on Thrivecart, for example, enough for a program or a service versus when do you need a whole separate contract? Because people are typically used to contracts when it comes to one-on-one services, but if it's a
Hmm.
group program that's $2,000, a lot of it's like, or like a template, it's like check the box, but then is it at a certain price point? Do you want to do a separate contract? Do you always want to? Is that terms and conditions box enough? Where's the line there? That's my clients have that question all the time, and I do not know the answer.
There's no hard and fast rule. It's more of a vibe thing. So the check the box contract, to my knowledge, there's no income threshold, or there's like no price threshold that makes them unenforceable. Like, could you have a check a box contract for $100,000 service? I don't see any reason why that wouldn't hold up in court necessarily. But it really just comes down to notice. So the more like hoops your client has to jump through to actually look at the contract, to sign the contract. So if you're going to send them a DocuSign, it's very hard for them to argue later that they didn't see it. So that can be more important in kind of like resolving disputes that you're having with them. So especially if you're doing high ticket group programs or masterminds, if you are in like a sharing circle where you're going to be sharing a lot of information and you want to ensure confidentiality, then I would probably send them a contract to sign. My threshold is usually like anything under $2,000 to $3,000, I'm probably going to do a checkbox on, and if it's more than that, I'm probably going to send a signed contract.
That's been my thought as well, because sometimes it's a little bit of like what would I feel okay being like, wow, this was a real flaw, like they're really content, like if I could just send that 3K back, it's like I did the I like they're disgruntled, I don't want to deal with it, I could send it back, like, and it wouldn't like totally impact my business. But like a 10K thing, it's like I've already done a lot of the work, like there's like I think it's that's been my line of like, how much would I want to fight this if they wanted to contest, like if they wanted a refund. And I don't know,
Right.
that's been my line. But I like that idea of just like, yeah, if there's things you really want them to see in the contract or really see in the terms and like in the agreement, maybe pulling out, making it a DocuSign, making it something that they do have to use.
And we have some gray area for that too, because I've had on my checkout pages, like I'll take the one term, I'm not your lawyer, like when it's like a course, and I'll add that as a second checkbox. So if you have like two or three things you really want them to know, you can have a few checkboxes on your checkout page. Or, if this is a 10K thing or whatever, it might make sense to send them a DocuSign and like even walk them through the provisions if
Mm-hmm.
you want.
Yeah. Yeah, and even I've seen people like they put like little initials on parts of a contract. It's like then it's like here's the part where on the contract I really want you to see. So it really just depends on how you want to do it. But it's nice to hear that it
Right.
is more of like your client experience, customer experience, and then like what you want to highlight is kind of how you would decide whether you use the checkbox or an actual contract.
Yeah, I work with a lot of wedding planners, and they really like having people initial paragraph
Yes.
initial
I've
paragraphs.
seen it's very industry specific. It's like every like this fee if you're late, or like it's like yeah, it really is dependent on the industry. And so the contract club is flexible. Tell us about like how people can customize the contracts inside of the contract club and how easy you make it with the Google Docs and everything, because it really is just such an easy thing to get set up.
Yeah, so we have 2 ways. I actually used to market this a lot more as we added more, like, done for you templates. I've marketed it less, and that's probably a mistake because this is probably, like, the best part of the club, is I always call it Build-A-Bear, but with contracts. So, the main portion of the club goes, like, lesson by lesson, and, like, lesson 1 is your intro terms. You copy and paste the paragraph that's your introduction, and it would say, "This contract is by and between Braden here and after whatever, Ashley here and after whatever." And we have highlighted areas where you have to fill in the blanks. And I have a video explaining how to do that. Pretty simple. And then you get to the next section, it's on scope of services. I tell you how to draft your scope of services, and I give you several different provisions you can pick from depending on how you typically provide services. The next section is the biggest one, that's payment terms. And we have like 8 pages of payment terms, depending on if you do flat fee, if you do monthly, if you do hourly, if you do retainers. So you pick your base template, and then again, I share with you how to customize it. And then we have, I don't know, probably 50 to 100 pages of industry specific terms that you can plop into your contract. And then we have all the legalese. So you're literally just building a contract like from scratch. And then we also have something called the contract bot, which I used to call AI. I realized it's not actually AI at all. It's just like a custom developed tool that takes all of the provisions I wrote and then assembles that contract for you. It's basically $50 to like just save you a couple hours of time if you want to answer a bunch of questions and build it that
Love.
way.
Yeah, super, super smart. And just as somebody who is like, I want to sit down, figure it out, get it posted, and move on. Like the contract club makes it so efficient. When I need to figure out a contract, I can literally go in there, get what I need. And I think something that happens with systems also happens with contracts. When you are forced to think about your offer in a way that you have to make a contract or you have to make a system around it, you get better at decision making. So it's like, what
Uh-huh.
is your services? Like, what is your scope of work? And you have to decide, do you give them 4 calls or do you give them 2 calls? You need to decide that for your
Uh-huh.
offer, because you're putting it in a contract and you're building systems around it. And so just the act of building these systems or contracts gives you like more structure in your offers, which makes them easier to deliver and sell, and just makes it clear on both ends. So it's not like, oh, like maybe, yeah, if however many calls we need to get the job done, like you're not putting that in the contract. Like we want to give a
Right.
number. And so by going through and doing this Build-A-Bear type like contract build, I think you get tighter with your offers too.
That's such a good point. I've realized recently that I'm actually really good at very specific kinds of business coaching, and I think it comes from years of drafting contracts because I'm good at helping people basically structure the new offers because I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. How are you going to do this? How are you going to deliver that? What's the call structure going to be? What's the package? Whatever, whatever. So, yeah, for sure. I think it's a great exercise to at least put together your own contract one
And
time.
I would love to. This is a little out of the scope, so you let me know if you want to talk about it. But I would love to just talk about like the business model of the contract club and how it's so like it's $200, and if you're watching this during Black Friday, there's discounts. But like if you like how like you put so much energy into like such a low price product, there's like some people charge $200 a contract. And so what made you decide to offer such a incredibly valuable offer for such a low price point? Like what's the thought process behind this?
Yeah, well, this is my favorite thing to talk about. And actually, a lot of template shops charge $300 to $500 per template. And I just added a price savings calculator to our sales page so people can click all the contracts they need and see how much it would cost them elsewhere, which is super fun. The genesis of the contract club. So I mentioned that it used to be a course, swear warning. It was called Unfuck Your Contracts, and it was a bonus that we provided to our course Unfuck Your Biz, which that one I still sell and offer. It's our signature program. And then I was like, okay, well, let's sell UYC, Unfuck Your Contracts, as a separate thing. No one wanted to buy it, basically. I think it was like $400, and everyone's like, I don't want that. So then I think I'd committed in like 2022 it was to dabble with low ticket offers. And it was January. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try something really out of the box. And I'm going to sell all these contract templates for $30. And so that's what I did. And that first month, we sold 200, which was like more sales than I'd ever had on anything in a month. And then I kept it at that price for a couple years. And basically, what happened was we ended up getting more contract club sales every month than I would get opt ins on my freebies. So it just by default became my primary lead generator. And then we ended up increasing it to 50 for a while. And then last Black Friday last year, we increased the price from 500 to 200. And I had a lot of concerns about doing that, but I did it anyway. If you want to talk about that a little bit, we can.
Well, I'm glad you put it to 200, because if it's $50, I'm like, this is a scam. Like I don't trust these contracts at $50. Like that's so great.
We used to hear that a
Yeah,
lot,
there's like
actually.
there
It was
is
like one of
like
the,
you have to get. I mean, 200 is already like an incredible like crazy value for the what you're getting in like price for what you're getting inside. But yeah, what was the decision to make that jump? Because I've played around with I've lowered. I used to sell $6,000 VIP days. Now I sell a $2,500 year long container, and like the like just the
uh-huh.
price changing your price. There's so many factors involved, and a lot of the times people on the outside are looking in, and it's like, okay, well, I should do as much as Braden does, or I should increase my price, or I should decrease because I'm watching other business owners. But it's such a specific nuanced decision for every business and business model, and you don't know what they're selling on the back end or what they're upselling into later. So yeah, walk through that price jump, because
Yeah, so it really just came down to like wanting to make more money, honestly. So last year, I think we were averaging about 20 to 25 contract club sales per month. So let's say 25. That was $1,250 in revenue. This year, we're averaging 10 sales per month. So less than half, but at 4 times the price. So that's 10 times 200 is $2,000 a month in revenue. And that's during kind of like our non peak seasons. We do affiliate contests twice per year. When we did our one earlier this year, we had like 100 sales at $200. This go around, we're hoping to have like 200. So it should bring in double to triple the revenue, but fewer leads. So then the question for me that will be answered when we go into this next big launch is, by having a third of the leads, but possibly better qualified buyers because they spent more, how much does that impact conversions and the bottom line on that like higher ticket program?
yeah, that's such a business brain marketer answer, and like the way it should be. And we're thinking the same way of like I have a $500 I have a $500 Airtable template, and like those people, when I do my big 2,500 launch, like the first time we did it, it was like 50% of them upsold into it. And I'm like, wow, like it's finding those numbers in math, but that makes sense that you get less people through the contract club because it costs more, but will you get the same amount of Unfuck Your Biz sales? Like, who knows? But knowing that that's something that you're testing and like looking at the data
Yeah.
is smart.
Yeah, I also it another reason I kinda decided to do it was this year I leaned more into, like, one-on-one services and more higher ticket stuff. So I've been playing less of, the lead generation game for my courses, if that makes sense. So now it's just focusing on, like, well, what just sells really well? Like, let's worry less about freebies and traffic to the website and more about just, like, let's create 4 to 5 things that I know people want, I know they'll buy, it's gonna blow them away, and then they'll tell all their friends to buy it too. And that's actually what I'm gonna triple down on, like, this upcoming year.
Yeah, and that makes sense too. Of like, I'm not as compelled to shout up like, a couple $1,000 like lawyer services. Like I'm like, oh, but like a $200 contract club is. I was like, Braden, like let's get you on the YouTube channel. Like let me tell my audience, because it's something that is so enticing that I'm like, every business owner needs this. Every business owner probably needs a trademark too, but it's just a different urgency or different, like there's more nuance there. I'm like, no, everybody needs this. And that's why we had this call. And so thank you for being here and sharing about contracts, your expertise, and what the contract club looks like on the inside, feels like on the inside.
Of course,
Yeah.
anytime.
Any other questions or things you want the people to know before we hop off?
I don't think so. I mean, if they have any other questions or they wanna see what we got going on, they can just go to our website, notavglaw.com. That's short for Not Your Average Law Firm. So AVG, short for average, notavglaw.com. And I got a little chat widget on there. They can let me know if they have any
Fun. And
questions.
the links will all be below. The website is so cute. There's little cartoons on it. Like it's such a vibe. And like that calculator is really fun too. But really sit down and play around with that and see like how much, like if you don't have a service agreement, you got to get that ASAP. And like figuring out what those costs would look like. The downtime in the holiday season is an excellent time to like get your like legal stuff sorted for the new year, or any downtime that you have. Sometimes when I don't want to do work, this is like my admin stuff is like my procrastinating. So I'm like filling out like Build-A-Bearing a contract sounds great some days. Awesome. Well, thank you so
Yes.
much for being here. I hope everybody checks out the Contract Club. If you have any questions about it, you can drop them in the comments below. You can shoot a message to me on Instagram. And we also did a great, I was on Braden's podcast about my numbers and launches and really going into that. So we'll be sure to link your resources in that interview below, because that was really fun to do as well. Cool.
Fabulous. Thanks for
Awesome.
having
Thanks
me.
so much.